back, baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Get me Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. This is the latest episode of the 1796 Sports Pod. We got the whole crew back together for this one. First time in like a month. Life happens. So everybody's back in the fold. We'll talk about our ugly win over Missouri, 72-67. And then we'll preview Texas A&M, and we'll get into some baseball. And we got some good viewer questions today. So we'll get into all that. Missouri. If you only watched one half, like Jim said before we started recording, you probably wanted to break something. It was horrendous. We'll get into that more specifically, but we were actually down 29-26 at the half, and then we scored 46 points in the second. So we ended up with a 72-67 win. Like we always say, a win is a win, especially on the road. So, I'm not going to complain too much about it. Ryan, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm good. I'll edit it out.
Yeah, I mean, like we always say, a win is a win. There's no reason to, I don't think any reason to be super upset about it. I mean, especially seeing, what happened with Kentucky. So, yeah, I mean, another win, but it was ugly. Jim, you want to share your thoughts on the matter?
Well, I mean, you put it perfectly. I mean, a win's a win. I get we only won by 5, but I mean, we definitely, if we lost that game, that would have been devastating. Like, that's a quad 3. You should have, this shouldn't have been this way. But both teams started out really slow. I mean, it was 1-0, for 4.5 minutes in the game? That both teams couldn't even hit a shot. Dalton Connect was non-existent in the first half, comes out in the second half and turns into, Dalton Connect that we all know and love. But I want to give a shout out to Tobe Awaka. That guy absolutely carried us this game. 18 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game from him, and we really needed it. In a game like this, we really needed somebody to step up. But overall, yeah, really ugly game. I'm actually really happy this game came against Missouri and not, Saturday against A&M.
Oh,
so, yeah, it couldn't have. I'd rather it be against the worst team in the SEC, because they are the worst team in the SEC. Even Vanderbilt is better than them. But yeah, like I said, better to come now than Saturday.
Yeah, horrendous start to that game. I mean, you said it was 1-0 after the first media timeout. It was 6-2 after the second one.
Yeah,
I mean it was ridiculous, and I mean Missouri had us right where they wanted us in that first half. I mean, slowing us down and turning us over and forcing us into ridiculously bad shots. I mean, it was Ziegler looked bad in the first half too. I mean, like I just said, he's turning the ball over and taking bad shots, and he wasn't the only one. But the main point, we've already touched on it, is you got out of there with a damn win. And without Dalton Connect, like if we played this game last year and it played out the same way, we lose that game 100% of the time. And, him being able to just turn it on whenever he wants is a get out of jail free card for this team, which is why I think if we have a, dumbfoundingly bad start to a tournament game, we can overcome it.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not every team has that luxury. I mean, Kentucky has it to a certain extent with Dillingham. We have it with Connect. It's nice for sure. Once again, I agree with everything y'all said, but I do think it's important to point out, like y'all said, we won. Ultimately, that's the goal. I mean, imagine how Kentucky fans are feeling today after what happened to them last night. So, Ryan, you pointed it out to me last night, and I thought it was a really good point. Like, being able to close out those games against horrible teams is still impressive.
Yeah,
Like,
it's something that good teams are able to do, which I think, we're clearly a better team than Kentucky at this point, and it's because we have an X factor like Dalton Connect. And something else that was huge in that game for us, which I tweeted out, is Rick Barnes made one of his best coaching decisions of the year when he went with that ultra big lineup of Adu, Awaka, Connect, and I think it was Vescovy and Gainey when we really started to pull ahead in that game. I mean, that was a beautiful coaching decision because we cleaned house on the boards from that point on, and Awaka had his best game of his career. I mean, kudos to Rick.
no, for sure. I thought it was just incredible that Awaka is kind of the not the last guy, but he's not the person you'd expect to lead the team in scoring. So it just adds another layer to this onion of a team, or like you never know who it's going to be really. Gainey's had those great games where he pops up. Adu, has taken over a few games. Connect, obviously. Triple J took over against Kentucky. Like, that's what I think is scary about this team and why I'm not worried is because, like you said, Ryan, Connect is a get out of jail free card if all else fails, but he's not the only one. Like, I mean, Awaka getting 18 points is not something I had on my bingo card. So that's good to see. It does, and Jim, I want your opinion on this. Are you worried at all that Triple J and Vescovy had another stinker?
No, well, I mean, the whole team pretty much stunk other than Dalton Connect and Awaka. I'll even throw Adu in there and Zakai. They had, that's fine.
They were struggling at first, but they made up for it.
Yeah, but I mean, no, everyone's going to have this game where you're just going to stink it up. I mean, it's going to happen. But like I said before, I'm glad you get this out of the way. You got a revenge game coming Saturday. You could turn it around, and you better get ready for this gauntlet. I mean, Tennessee's got a rough last couple games, and right before March. And as long as we stay healthy, I still think Tennessee could pull out. With these last 5 games, I think we could win 4 of them. And that's including, I think Kentucky is just a lost cause at this point. And I'm not saying they can't beat us, but I mean, at home, I'm going to give Tennessee the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, this team, we've seen what they could do. We had what, Ryan? I think you probably know this better than me, but we had what, 6 games in a row with 85 plus. Like, this team could score. It's just we had an off night. We still came out with the win. That's huge. I don't know if you guys seen $1 Million Marco, one of the best bettors in all of betting, lays $200,000 on the Tennessee Volunteers to win a natty this year.
Dang, that's
yep, $200K to win $3 million.
That's a vote of confidence if I've ever heard.
Well,
one.
he's not a Vol fan either. He's just a normal guy watching, and it could definitely happen. It just, this team, man, you can't have these off nights. You can't take any team lightly. You got to go into this game like they did the Kentucky game in Rupp Arena. You got to go into this game and say, hey, these guys are good. It don't matter. Like, look, I mean, St. Peter's when they beat Kentucky. Like, Kentucky came into that game thinking it was just a rollover game, and they lost. You can't be doing that.
Anything can happen this time of year. I mean, that's
absolutely.
That's why we love college basketball. Like, I mean, look at it. I don't think anybody. I mean, we're biased, but we're not that biased. I don't think we could even admit that. I don't think we think that Tennessee's like the most talented roster in the country. But a lot of times, the most talented roster doesn't win the whole thing. I mean, Tennessee seems like the type of team that could make a deep March run. Just because they're not the perennial number 1 team, but they find ways to get it done. And I think that it makes us a dangerous team in March.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bryce. I mean, Jim was, reiterating this point. I mean, this team checks a lot of boxes that big-time bettors look for when you talk about the NCAA tournament. Number one, we're top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency on KenPom. We have a X factor player in Dalton Connect, and we have the depth. I mean, those are three big boxes that, anybody who knows anything about basketball betting will look for in a team going into the tournament. But I want to bring up something that is, to my knowledge, an unconfirmed rumor at this point. Can we talk about this whole Eli Drinkwitz versus Zakai Ziegler thing?
Yeah,
Did
Jim.
you see that?
I was going to ask you, Jim, if you know if that's true or not.
What?
So the thing that like several accounts posted, obviously we weren't there, so I don't know, but several accounts posted it that Drinkwitz like said some shit to Zakai, and Zakai was like, "I don't even know who you are, you four-eyed fat ass."
Now I can't confirm it, but I know he was heckling. I can't tell you if Zakai actually said that. Now, I've met Zakai in person, and I could guarantee you it's something he would say. But, yeah, it's embarrassing if it's true. I mean, the fact that he's like a 50-year-old male, or like, I mean, I think he's 50, 40, whatever he is, but you're heckling college athletes during a basketball game as a coach, because you're a well-known coach in, college sports. You shouldn't be heckling a college athlete, especially when they can't say anything back, or they're not supposed to.
Said, like, okay, I know that you said it sounds like something Ziegler would do. It definitely sounds like something Drinkwitz would do too. He's a fucking dork.
Oh, absolutely. I stand on business, and shakes his hand and walks away real quick. Like, dude, you're a pussy. Like, Josh Heupel would have said something, but he ran away too fast before he could. It's something. It's just so stupid. Coaches should have respect for all the athletes. We talked about it when Nate Oates shoved the Missouri player. Like, stuff like that should not happen, and if it does happen, it should be immediate penalties to that program.
Well, bro, like, here's the thing. Talk about Saban all you want. Do you really think Saban would ever do that at a basketball game? Like,
well, I don't think he'd ever go to a basketball game.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it makes you look like classless, and it just makes you look like a freaking dork. But I mean, he doesn't know how to behave any other way though. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it probably did happen. I don't know if that's exactly what the words were, but I guarantee you Zakai is going to say something back.
Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz, I mean, he was a cornball before this, and he's just an even bigger cornball now if all this is true. I mean, even if Ziegler didn't respond, even if he was heckling, that's a joke. Like, you're double his age, and you're the highest paid employee in the state of Missouri. Like, it just reeks of insecurity.
Well, I mean, because he got his one little win over us, and he knows that in reality we're still Big Brother, so he has to compensate for it. It's embarrassing at this point. I mean, I don't think it's even worth talking about. It's just it's really cringy. Like,
Josh Heupel wouldn't do it.
No, he fucking wouldn't. It's just really, really embarrassing. He's a dork.
Guys, speaking of cornball coaches in the SEC East, did you see the video of Shane Beamer doing this army crawl in the mud to galvanize his players?
No, but you need to send me that.
How can you be like, I have a serious question. Like how can you be like an 18-year-old, like elite athlete and meet that dork and be like, yeah, I buy into him?
No clue.
Like who thinks he's cool? Like, I don't
Bro, I don't know. And I'm good friends with a lot of like South Carolina fans. And the fact that they love this dude is like beyond me. Like, if I was a South Carolina fan, I honestly would want to like choke him out. Like, this dude should be gone. I mean, he has destroyed their program from what it was, and it's not getting any better. Like, I don't care what any South Carolina fan says. Like, that program is it's not getting any better. So we'll see what happens with him. But I think Beamer's a dork. Like, that dude, he tries to be cool for his kids or something. He acts his kid's age. Like, his kid's like, what, 12, 11? I think his kid's more mature than he is.
His dad has to be just rolling his eyes whenever he sees any type of media tweeted from the South Carolina football account.
Well, Ryan, it's like you always say, if his dad wasn't a legendary coach, he'd be a chemistry teacher.
Yeah, he'd be coaching like middle school lacrosse. Like he should never have gotten to his position. It's only because he was born on third. So,
well, guys, anything else stick out to y'all from the Missouri game?
No, just don't let it happen again in these next 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
and
Jim,
stay healthy. By God, stay healthy. Like don't risk anything. If you're winning by 20, take the starters out, please.
Yeah, like we did against Vanderbilt. I mean,
yes, we need a game. It would be nice. Like we don't have any games like that on the. Honestly, I could see us blowing out South Carolina, but like because South Carolina is such a fluke, it's ridiculous. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Alabama in first place, by the way, pisses me off. Like. We beat them by 20, and all these guys are like, oh, Alabama's the number 1 team in the SEC right now. You lost to Tennessee by 20. Like, make it make sense.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is, like, if it was a close game, I could maybe understand that argument. But it's not – there was nothing fluky about that game.
We blitzkrieged them, and Florida did not do us any favors last night, blowing that game in the last 4 minutes. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but listen. Sakai Ziegler is Mark Sears' father. Like when Mark Sears has a guy like Sakai guarding him, he can't do anything. He still had 20 points against us, but it was in garbage time when Sakai wasn't guarding him.
Yeah, I mean, we will have our chance down in Alabama to leave no doubt that we're the best team in the SEC, and I think most people, I think it's a minority that think Alabama's really the best team. I mean, it shows in the seedings right now and in the national rankings, the AP poll. So, but yeah, guys, you want to get into this A&M matchup on Saturday?
Yep. Initial thoughts, Jim. You think repeat of last time? You think it'll go a little different?
I just don't see Texas A&M coming in shooting like 80% from 3.
Right.
I don't see that happening, especially in Knoxville. And coming off the game we just came off of, I don't see Tennessee doing that again. They're going to be at their home court. They'll be shooting comfortably. They know they've been there, done that. I see this as a revenge game. I think Tennessee takes this one pretty handily. I think we win by 10 plus. And yeah.
Here's my thing about it. I don't know if y'all knew this or not, but A&M has not won a game since they beat us.
They've lost to 2 teams
3.
We've beaten by they've lost to 3, but they've lost to 2 teams we've beaten by 30.
Yeah, they lost to Vanderbilt, Alabama, and Arkansas, which is embarrassing. I mean, that's about the worst. That's 2 of the worst losses you can have. So, yeah, I mean that makes our loss to them look worse. But like you said, it's a good way to get back on track. It's get payback. Keep the SEC wins piling up before you said, Jim, our schedule gets really tough here at the end. So we can't afford to drop another one to an inferior team.
Especially at home. And Jim, you alluded to the players wanting to beat this team because of what happened in College Station. I think Rick Barnes wants to beat Buzz Williams just as much as the players want to beat the players on Texas A&M.
Punch that dude in the face, dude. Like,
I mean, the interview he gave, it was in a press conference, I think, before the Arkansas game, basically saying, like, giving his players permission to run over him if he's in the middle of the court again. Rick Barnes never says stuff like that. Like, that obviously made him mad, and he called a timeout in the waning seconds of that game to get in Pat Adams' ear one more time about how ridiculous that was. I mean, have y'all ever seen anything have y'all ever seen a coach run out onto the floor and jump up and down like he looks like a gnome, first of all, and he wears that stupid vest. But
it's been all year, though, with coaches. Like, I mean, like I said before, Nate Oates pushing a player. Like, you got this dude running in the middle of a court during a basketball game and not getting teed up. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, the refs, it's weird. And watch, you'll see, we all know, I mean, the home team usually gets more calls just because it's a home team. But I mean, he does that again. I hope Awaka's on the floor and just buries him.
Yeah, Rick Barnes. If Buzz Williams is allowed to do that again, Rick Barnes should go out and just set crisscross applesauce at midcourt and not move. In broadcast.
I'd take a T. Oh man,
I mean,
you know how legendary that would be.
he should like rip off his clothes and run around the court in his underwear if they allow him to do that again. Like, where's the line? I mean, like that was insane. And like I said, Rick Barnes never ever goes after a coach like that. And I think it'll be interesting to watch the handshakes before and after the game between him and Buzz. I mean, yeah, it hasn't been since Penny Hardaway that Rick Barnes has squabbled with a opposing team's coach like this. So I'm very much looking forward to this matchup, and I also think that we will take care of business.
Yeah, we'll get down to our predictions, but yeah, like I said, I think this team. Like I said, we had the Missouri game is actually like a benefit to us right now going into this 5-game stretch, especially against Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Like I expect us to beat Texas A&M, but like you got 4 good basketball teams in a row to end the season, and I'm glad we got this slump shooting night out of the way.
Yes, that's a terrific point. I mean, we've already gotten the bad performance every 3 or 4 games out of the way. So, it bodes well for the stretch run here.
Yeah, I mean, no excuses to lose this game, though. I think absolutely no excuse. I mean, wouldn't say panicky by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be extremely disappointing if we drop to this team again because they're not good. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, I mean, we can get into score predictions, though. I agree with Jim. I think they're going to get ran out of the court. There's too much tension. There's too much behind-the-scenes stuff that everybody's pissed about. And losing to this team in general, I think it's the sour taste in their mouth still. They're not going to lose at home to a shitty team like Texas A&M. So, honestly, I think we're looking at like an 84-68 type game. I honestly do. I think we get a good bit of payback. I think we leave no doubt that the last game was fluky.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Texas A&M has a good backcourt, but other than that, that's all that they got. I think games probably – I think they're going to run it up, to be honest, after – like you guys said, all the shenanigans that happened. I think we break the 90 mark here, get like 91, 93 points. And I think you're about right. I think Texas A&M will get 68-72. So I my final one, I'll say 91-71.
Yeah. If we box out Garcia like we didn't do in College Station and Wade Taylor doesn't hit his first 5 threes of the game, we're going to run them out of the gym. And I'm very close to y'all. I think it's going to be in that range too. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go 95 and a little bit lower for A&M to 65.
I like that a lot, though. That'd be awesome, especially after what happened. With all, like I said, with all the stuff that happened.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, no excuses here. Like I think y'all nailed it. Expect a big game here. Well, did y'all have any other thoughts on Missouri or Texas A&M before we move on?
No, just go beat them. Set the tone early and take care of business.
Hear, hear.
All right. Ryan, before we get into some viewer questions, why don't you give us a little baseball update?
Well, after Vol Twitter was melting down on Saturday night after we lost to Oklahoma, we've rebounded pretty nicely. We beat Baylor 11-5. Wasn't a very stressful game after the first 2 or 3 innings. And then on Tuesday, we had another offensive lull, but the good news is our young pitchers showed out against UNC Asheville, and we secured that game 3-2. Then yesterday, the offense showed back up again in a gigantic way with an 11-run third inning to run roll East Tennessee State in 7 innings, 16-0. So, I mean, the best thing about the baseball team right now is that a lot of the players we're going to be relying on in SEC play haven't even hit their stride yet. So I think everybody should have a pretty positive outlook right now about the Tennessee baseball team.
Well, I think it's good that we didn't – like we have a couple good performances already on the books against solid teams. Like, you know, anybody can beat up on Asheville or ETSU, but when you actually, you know, beat up a pretty decent Baylor team, a pretty decent Texas Tech team, I mean, it's a good way to get the season started. Jim, what do you think?
I think, like you said, the young pitchers are doing good. Frank Anderson's just a straight-up pitching god and just is one of the best coaches in all the country. But no, I mean, we have picked up such good transfers this year. And like Ryan said, they haven't even hit their stride, but Billy the Kid, dude, Billy Amick is an absolute tank, and I think he's a dark horse for the Golden Cleats or whatever they call it. It's just this kid, man, he's got 3 home runs already in 4 games. And the Cannon Peebles is something we needed a catcher, even though, you know, our backups are playing really well as well. And you got to think, though, Simo's batting like 438 as an average, and Blake Burke hasn't really hit his stride yet, but he's had a couple ropes. And, you know, this team, man, all around is solid. I think all we need is a set starter on Sunday, because Russell and Beam will be, you know, they'll do their thing, of course. We just need a guy like either like a Nate Snead or even Xander Sechrist. I think we give him another shot. I think he had a rough game, and at least give him another shot against like an Albany or something like that. But all around, team's good. I can see this team going far. Your lineup stacked, your pitching stacked, and like I said, all you gotta find is that Sunday starter.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Christian Moore and Billy Amick, but the other head of that 3-headed monster, I think, will be Kavaris Tears. I mean, I think he is coming into form as a college baseball player, and I mean, he's batting .385. He has 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. I mean, and he didn't even start against Oklahoma, so he has a game less of at bats to show for. I mean, when he makes contact, it goes far. It's insane how well he can see the ball, and he also is a threat on the bases too, and he's pretty good defensively. Like I think he's going to be a huge piece to the baseball team this year.
For sure. So, guys, do y'all want to get into some viewer questions? We've got some good ones.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see here. All right. So, we got our first questions from Code Orange, friend of the show. What is your realistic expectation for Tennessee basketball in the NCAA tournament? That's the part 1. So, I'll go first here. This might be bold. I'm not sure. I think anything shy of the Elite Eight is a major disappointment. That's my opinion. So I'm going to say my expectation is at least an Elite Eight appearance.
I like that. I'm right along with you. To me, I think that's about right. I think you could consider like getting out of the Sweet 16 as a failure. But this team, man, it's got all the pieces. I honestly could see this team going to a Final Four because, I mean, we played Purdue and Kansas all at the beginning of the year before these guys, you know, got their groove going and played together for a while. But, I mean, to me, it all depends on who's in our side of the bracket. Because if we play same thing as if we're the 2 seed and Purdue's the 1 seed, we could beat Purdue. Like, it's just Zach Edey just gets every call there is. But it all depends on the bracket seeding, because if you have a good side of the bracket with not a lot of tough teams to play, I mean, this team could definitely get to the Final Four. But if you get a bracket with, Houston, Virginia, all these teams that can knock someone off them that are, good basketball teams, yeah, you could see Tennessee, doing its thing and usually choking in the tournament. But like I said before, a lot of people are confident that this team has all the pieces. It's got the coaching, it's got the depth, it's got it's got Dalton Connect, and we'll see. I just think this team can win it all, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's yours, Ryan?
Anything less than an Elite Eight is an abject failure.
Okay.
This team is too good. It is too deep. You have the X factor. You have the versatility to win any type of game in the tournament. And you don't have the excuse of, you're on the road in the SEC. These are all neutral site games. And really, Tennessee travels well enough to where a lot of them will probably be in the Vols' favor as far as the crowd. So there's no excuses this year. And if we run into a team in the Elite Eight trying to get to the Final Four that is just as good and we play well and still lose, I won't be mad. But it's March. It's a crapshoot. You got to rely on luck at times, and you have to play at an elite level to make it to the Final Four. But I fully believe this team is capable of doing that.
All right. And then the second part of that question is, should the Lady Vols move on from Kelly Harper even if she makes it to the tournament? Yeah, I think simply making it to the tournament shouldn't be the standard. So if we make it and get kicked out in the first round, I think that it's probably time to go. I mean, I've defended her probably more than anybody, but that just shouldn't be the standard. So, yeah, I'm going to say yes.
I agree 100%. I think unless you do something magical and end up winning an Natty, I think she's gone. I think unless you have a magical run and get to the Final Four or something, I think it's time to move on. I think you get someone younger, we've talked about it before, someone out of the whole Pat Summitt, ex-player thing, and, get someone that wants to come make a program. We've said it before. There's plenty of people that you go to today and say, hey, will you be the next coach of the Lady Vols basketball team? They'll jump right on it. And I think it's about that time.
Yeah. Yeah, simply making the tournament at Tennessee for the women's basketball program is never the standard. That's I totally agree with both of y'all. She should be gone unless she does something crazy in March. I would need her to make an Elite Eight or probably even a Final Four to even consider bringing her back. We've stagnated. Yeah. It's very unlikely. But, yeah. That's
now, this team does have the talent to do it. It's just there's something wrong, I think, with this chemistry that they have. And, you got one of the best lady basketball players in the country, Rakia Jackson, and Spears is good too. You got the roster to where you could do something. You stuck with the best team in the country until the fourth quarter. They can do it. It's just there's something going on in the background that just doesn't seem right, and I feel like it's the coach.
Yeah, totally agree. Bryce, you got to run here.
I do. Do you have the tweet pulled up, Ryan?
Yes, I got it down, man. Go take care of your baby. Everybody,
right.
Bryce just had a baby. Everybody wish him luck.
All right, I'll be back. Y'all, take it easy. Go Vols, baby.
All right, man. See you.
See you, buddy.
All right, Jim. Next question in the replies. I don't know if you know much about the Predators or what's going on, so if you want me to take care of this one, I will. But Rob asked, will Trotz pull the trigger on a UC Soros trade? and is Askarov ready to be a starter in the NHL? Barry Trotz is a very new GM. This is his first job, obviously. I think he he is fully capable of doing something I think that David Poyle wasn't willing to do in making the best move for the team, even if that means it doesn't benefit the team in the short run. And I do think he should pull the trigger on that trade because Saros' trade value is getting worse and worse as you don't trade him. He's an undersized goalie to begin with, and as he gets older, he'll get less athletic. Simple as that. And as far as Askarov goes, the one start he made this year, the Predators won in a shootout, and he made saves on Alexander Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, who are two elite shootout players. So I think he's ready. And even if he's not, this team needs to position themselves for some draft picks at this point. So that's my opinion on that. You got anything to say about that, Normal?
I don't really follow the Predators a lot. But I agree with what you said. I think if the guy if his value's going down, you might as well get rid of the guy and try and get what you can for him. So that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next question, Russell asks, what are your way too early predictions for who will be the standout guys on Tennessee's baseball team this year? One pitcher and one batter. What do you think, Jim?
Well, I mean, are we going with the most obvious, or are we going with like the underdog kind of? I guess we could do both.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do both.
Well, I think best pitcher as standout. I mean, we've only seen him pitch once, but like with Beam and Russell. But Russell, man, he looks incredible. I mean, his pitches move in insane amounts. He throws hard. Had a really good game against Texas Tech. I think Russell will probably be the main standout pitcher. But I think if you're looking at an underdog pitcher, in my opinion, I'd say probably Nate Snead. Nate Snead looked really good when he came in the other day. And, I mean, he's got the stuff. I mean, dude throws hard. He's got good movement. And like I said before, I mean, when you have Frank Anderson teaching you, I see Nate Snead becoming a really good option for the Vols this year. That's my pitchers. What do you think about the pitcher side?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with who I think could be the X factor and also is sort of a sleeper. I'm going to combine mine for pitching at least. What AJ Causey did to close out the game against Texas Tech to me was very, very impressive because Russell kind of flamed out because he was throwing all those strikeouts and he kind of got tired and threw 4 1/3. And then AJ Causey comes in out of the bullpen and finishes the game with a 4 2/3 innings and 7 strikeouts. And the reason I think he can be the X factor is because his arm slot, he kind of sidewinds it. It's a kind of a half-quarter arm slot. It comes out around his, like, in between his belly button and his chest, which is weird for a batter to watch, especially after watching a normal pitching release throughout the first part of the game. And yeah, that's my pick because he impressed me a lot in that Texas Tech game.
Oh, I agree. I mean, he did really well. There's so many names, man. Like Tennessee's so deep with young talent on the pitching staff. I mean, it's hard to pick, but I feel like those two are probably going to be the most you'll hear. And I think Xander Sechrist is gonna turn it around. I mean, he had a rough game. He probably had a lot of nerves coming in, and I think he'll settle down. I think we'll probably see him again Sunday to at least start the game. And but yeah, we'll see. But batters wise, I mean, you got plenty of guys you could pick from, and I'm going to stay away from the main, couple, and even tiers. I'm not going to even say tiers because I mean we'll all say that. But Villanueva, that kid is going to be something special, and Dean Curley. I mean, dude hit a home run and a triple in his debut. I think if he stays playing a little bit, I think he's going to be the main guy, and I think he's going to be a sleeper for the Vols. Again, there's so many people to choose from on this team that could hit. I mean, you got Reese Chapman, you got Blake Burke, Cannon Peebles is another one that, I mean, he hasn't even hit his stride yet, and this team could just flat out hit. So, what do you think?
This is not a sleeper by any means, but I really think it's hard to not think Billy Amick will be huge batting wise for the Vols. He kind of got, he got super unlucky down in Texas at the Rangers ballpark in those first 3 games because he smoked a lot of balls that ended up being outs. And he leads the team in home runs through 5 games with 3. I mean, he just seems, he batted like over 400 at Clemson last year. And I don't see any reason that he can't get close to that again. And like I said, the luck will come around as far as the batting average on balls in play. Whenever you smoke it, you deserve a hit. And he hasn't got that luck thus far. But yet again, he has still managed to lead the team in home runs through 5 games. So that's who I'm going with for the X factor on the hitting side. And for a sleeper, for a sleeper, I think this qualifies as a sleeper right now because he kind of had a shaky time in SEC play last year, and he's kind of slow to start this year. But Blake Burke, I think he's going to start seeing the ball. And I think he's getting better at laying off those pitches that are low and away, which always seem to kill left-handers. And I really think he's going to turn it around and get back to how he was in his freshman year as far as
did you see his foul ball the other day?
God.
Dude, that thing had to be 450 feet.
Dude, it was insane. Like, you deserve a home run no matter if it's foul or not on a ball hit.
Yeah, you might as well just count it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my sleeper for hitting. Anything else on hitting on the X factors for the Vols?
You got, like I said, you got so many. The fact that you have Christian Moore, Billy Amick, Cannon Peebles, Blake Burke, Tiers, Villanueva, you got all these guys, man. This lineup's so stacked to where there's so many X factors. If someone's not hitting that day, someone's going to get a hit. Hunter Ensley, too. I think Hunter Ensley is going to have a good year this year. Just give him a couple. I think Ensley's going to benefit from not batting leadoff. That's just my opinion. I just don't see him as a leadoff hitter. Not saying he's not a good hitter, because he is. I just think you need someone like Christian Moore who is very aggressive at the plate to be batting leadoff. Yeah.
It's hard to – Moore, you can really put him anywhere. I think he'd be great at cleanup. I think he's great in the 3-hole. I think he's great at leadoff. Put him anywhere. As long as he's in the lineup, I'm happy. But I do think leadoff is probably wins out on spots that I want him at just because of how just good of a hitter he is. I think I said it in the last episode. He's an MLB-ready hitter. And I think leadoff will eventually be his home once we get the SEC play. So,
yeah, we got 2 MLB-ready hitters on that lineup.
Oh, yeah. Next question. Yeah. I think a lot of those players can be classified as MLB-ready hitters, but
absolutely.
Yeah. Next question from the Twitter replies. Dakota asks, he says, every team needs it. Who's going to be the dogs for Vol football next season?
We could go. There's so many people you could pick from. We all know James Pierce is going to play really well. Dude could potentially be a top 5, top 10 draft pick next year. But if it's me, I'm coming off a guy who was injured last year that would have gotten playing time as a freshman last year. But Tyree Weathersby, I think, is going to be an absolute hound with James Pierce and even Jordan Ross. I think Jordan Ross is going to get some playing time. But you got so many guys on the defensive line that is going to be huge. But I'm actually changing my pick. But Tyler Weathersby is going to be a dog. I think coming off an injury, this kid was going to see playing time last year. And but I think the leader of the defense this year is going to be Keenan Peely, coming off an injury. Same thing. The kid was playing really well during that Virginia game, and he's got the mental. He's got the tangibles. He's got the leadership. I think he's going to be that dog on the defensive end to help Tennessee win a bunch of games this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said. It's just like with baseball, talking about the X factors. I mean, same deal. Talking about dogs with the football team, you got plenty of options to pick from.
And that's just on the defensive side. I mean, we all know Nico's going to be an X factor.
Oh, my God, yeah. And my pick for dogs on both defense and offense, I'll start with defense. Just based on what I know about the kid, he's a freshman coming in. I think there's no way Boo Carter is not going to find his way onto the field and play very meaningful snaps.
Great pick.
There's no way in hell that he does not see the field this year for a ton of snaps. And like
he'll be a returner for sure, but I still think you're right. I think he's going to play. He's got to play on the defensive end a little bit.
Yeah, I think defense will be his home, and I think he will find a spot in that secondary and show out. I mean, he's just too talented and has the mindset to be the player that nobody wants to see lined up against him. And offensively, it's kind of the same trend with you and Keenan Peely. I think Brew McCoy coming off an injury was something to prove in his final year of college football. I mean, he was already a dog before.
Oh yeah, dude.
Before coming in this year, I mean, it takes 3 people to tackle him. I mean,
and there's a reason he came back too. He has such good chemistry with Nico.
Yeah, I mean, he reminds me so much of Juwan Jennings wearing that 15 number and just breaking tackles left and right. And I think he's going to be Nico's favorite target, especially on third downs. And he's going to be the guy that Nico's going to when he really needs a big play. So that's my pick for the Dogs as far as defense and offense for the football team.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great pick. And also, you got to remember, I mean, he's such a good blocker too. And then now you got Holden Stays and a veteran offensive line to open up the field for Dylan Sampson. I mean, Brew McCoy does it all.
Yeah. I mean, again, this just shows how well like the whole athletic department is doing when you have to like really think about these questions. Because a lot of times teams only have 1 or 2 type players like this, and it's an easy answer, but we got several candidates, so it's a great spot to be in for all these sports. Moving on to the next question we have on Twitter here. Palpatine, I'm guessing that's Vol and General Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine. I don't watch much Star Wars, but Palpatine asks, he goes on to say, every year, teams that make the Final Four have 2 things happen. Their stars play like stars, plus a role player becomes a star, even if it's just a few games. Who does that for us if we make it to Phoenix?
I feel like it's the obvious answer is Dalton Connect. I think Dalton's going to have to play out of his mind. Not necessarily scoring 30-plus points, but I think Dalton needs to do his thing. But if I'm saying anybody, I feel like it's Triple J. I feel like Triple J needs to step up in this tournament because obviously, I mean, the stats are there. The fact that if Triple J does good, the team does good. And there's stats to prove that. And I think that's the guy you need to step up in March for Tennessee to reach a Final Four and potentially win a national championship.
Yeah, I think Triple J is. I mean, it's like you said, when Tennessee basketball is at their best, Triple J is contributing a ton. And, yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I'm going to go with a role player here. And this might be recency bias based on the game on Tuesday night, but if Adu were to get in foul trouble, I think Awaka could carry that load against an elite big man. I think he has the attitude. I think he has the hustle and the willpower to come down with big rebounds. And honestly, he's done way better offensively this year than I ever would have expected. He's kind of got a bag in the post now with his little jump hooks and spins and stuff. And
I
also,
agree.
I mean, But his first 2 years at Tennessee, he was not good at the free throw line, and now he's shooting 70-something%. When you have a big man that can shoot in the 70s on free throw percentage, that's huge too. So that's my pick for a player that might, blossom in March.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, he's been outstanding, and like you said, I mean, the fact that he could go down, he's about the only big man that could hit a free throw consistently, and that's the big thing to me too. Is going into March, you gotta hit your free throws. We've been struggling at the free throw line pretty much all season, and you just can't happen. Good teams are gonna hit your free throws. They call them free throws for a reason, and you gotta be hitting them, especially in March. You gotta take those opportunities and turn them into points. So, but I think we sit pretty. I think this team has really, a really good shot to do something.
Absolutely. Final question in our Twitter replies. Dylan asked, and I'm assuming he's talking about all sports here. He's got to bring us down to the depths here with this depressing ass question, but biggest bust in University of Tennessee history.
Dude, it's been the past couple Marches, in my opinion.
I think he's talking about a player here.
I think, like right now?
I think
ever.
Yeah, ever.
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm gonna go with a recent guy, and I'm gonna go Julian Phillips. He was. I thought he was gonna be some stud, but I mean, as a 5-star, he didn't really do much, in my opinion.
Yeah, he scored 25 points in the Thanksgiving tournament against USC last year, and then he disappeared for basically the rest of the year. I mean, it was wild, and he still ended up getting drafted too. I mean, that's the only one and done that I think Barnes didn't improve much. So I think that's a great pick. I mean, it's like you said, he had high expectations. I mean, he's a 5-star, and he came in and looked good for a couple of games, but then he just, was MIA for 3 months of the year. So I think that's a great pick. I'm going to go back right before Tennessee football nosedived in the mid 2000s here for my pick for the biggest bust. If you're a longtime Tennessee fan, you know this name. Jonathan Crompton. He was a quarterback in the mid 2000s. He did have one good year in the Kiffin year in 2009. But the reason I say he's the biggest bust is because while Tim Tebow was taking his visit to Tennessee, Jonathan Crompton was also. And everything I've ever heard about this is that the coaching staff paid more attention to Jonathan Crompton on that visit than Tim Tebow. So that is why I go with him as the biggest bust in Tennessee sports history, because if you're going to pick him over Tim Tebow and then he has one decent year and Tim Tebow is regarded as one of the best college football quarterbacks ever, yeah, not very good. And I would say it was a big part of our downfall for the 2010s. I mean, that set a lot of dominoes in place that put us behind the 8 ball for all those years. So that's my pick there.
I think that's a good pick. I think that's a really good pick. There's plenty to pick from, in my opinion. I mean, Guantanamo, whatever his name was, that was another just absolute horrendous career.
Another 5-star.
Yeah, exactly. I have one question on my post that I think you can answer better than me, but Chef Dilly, Mr. McGiggles asked, what effect, if any, do you think the delayed judge ruling has on recruiting? And I just want to say before Ryan answers, and I'm sure he's going to say the same thing, I've heard it's had positive impacts on recruiting, and I'll let Ryan answer his spiel on that question.
Yeah, I think anytime a state sues goes after the NCAA in court on behalf of the flagship school of the state. That and it says a lot about where that state and where that school stands as far as players' rights. And I think that means a lot in recruiting. I don't think. I mean, we had a commitment a couple weeks ago that a receiver, his name is slipping my mind right now. During all this, we're getting good traction with a lot of other players right now on the recruiting trail. I mean, you talk about Dontrell Glover, you talk about Julius Holly, Juwan Gaston. I mean, all these guys are still taking visits and talking to Tennessee. And I really don't think it's having any negative effect on recruiting. It's like you said, if any effect, it's positive at the moment.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have such like Nico is a great recruit to have because you got these wide receivers coming in, and who doesn't want to play for Nico? Look at the showing he had against an Iowa top defense as a first start. And I mean, you got like Marcus Harris is a recruit that I think will, have a really good shot to turn into a Vol. I mean, five-star wide receiver. Why wouldn't you want to play with Nico? And then you got George McIntyre coming in, the following year. I mean, Tennessee is looking, really good in the future. And I don't think this whole thing's going to turn into trouble for them. I think this is going to be a very positive thing for Tennessee with this whole NCAA thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I guess that rounds out the mailbag portion of the podcast. Normal, do you want to get anything else tonight? I know we've kind of gone longer than normal here. Do you got anything else to want to get off your chest before we sign off here?
I don't think so. I feel like, Tennessee, I'm saying this as Tennessee as a whole. I think Tennessee is going to be fine when it comes to all this quote unquote trouble that they're in. There's a reason the state got behind us and stepped up is because they don't think we've done anything wrong. And I think Tennessee fans should be really excited for the future with football, baseball, and basketball. So, no, I think that's it for me. I think I got everything. What about you?
No, I'm good, man. It's like you just kind of alluded to there. Tennessee this is a good time to be a Tennessee fan, and I don't think there's anything to worry on all this drama with the NCAA. Let's go get this win against Texas A&M. Let's keep this baseball momentum going until we get to SEC play, and hopefully we kick it into another gear from there. So that's all I got, man, and go Vols.
Go Vols, baby.